Unemployment in the UK has come in as expected at exactly 3.7%, but wages are rising faster than at almost any time in the last 2 decades. For more, we're joined now by Bloomberg's Lizzy Burden. Lizzy, good to have your analysis here. I was looking at this data at the top of the programme. I went to the unemployment rate, and as expected, that showed a little bit of cooling. But then you look at the wage story, and that looks to be perhaps a little bit more alarming. How is the Bank of England likely to interpret the data then, do you think?
You're exactly right. That's the figure that's going to ring alarm bells for the Bank of England. It's above the level that's consistent with its 2% inflation target. In real terms, though, pay fell 2.7%. But what's driving this wage growth, the biggest contribution was for financial services, business services, and the gap between public and private sector wages widened further. It's still the widest on record. So, for one, that puts pressure on the government to negotiate with the unions, and secondly, it puts pressure on the Bank of England to hike aggressively on Thursday. The other interesting thing to note in this data, of course, again, it's the high rate of labour market inactivity that's helping to drive the shortages, pushing up wages. But if you look specifically at older workers, they do seem to be coming back to the workforce. And this really is the big question mark in the UK economy. Is it because the effects of long COVID are starting to subside? Is it perhaps because they need more money to deal with the cost of living crisis? One for economists to find out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, really fascinating labour market conversations to be had at the moment about what's different about the UK labour market, what's the same, actually, because we see some of those dynamics in other places, of course. One thing that is very much a UK focus is the level of strike activity that we're seeing as we head towards the holiday season, head towards Christmas. There are just strike after strike in the diaries, in the calendars for people, aren't there? How disruptive are these expected to be? And crucially, are we seeing any signs of resolution?
Yeah, sometimes multiple strikes from different sectors on the same day. It's an advent calendar of strikes, almost. If we start with the health unions, the problem there is that the nursing union complains it's met with the government, and the government doesn't even want to discuss pay, and the union says it cannot go back to its members empty-handed like that. However, the government says if it goes with this almost 20% pay rise that the nurses are demanding, it's just going to take funding away from frontline services. So there was a meeting of officials yesterday to discuss how they're going to get through this. You're going to see military personnel trained to drive ambulances. The problem with that is they can't run red lights. It's even riskier in emergency situations. As for the rail unions, they're split on what to do with the deals that are on the table. One union accepted an offer, so they're calling off the walkouts this month and next. Another union said that the deal on the table would add to redundancies down the line. So it continues to be a tricky situation, to put it mildly, but for commuters, bracing for 6 days of chaos for the next few days.